What's good, y'all? It's your humble Rōnin here with a live episode of Lounge Rōnin. Apologies, I am an hour late, but last night was a bit of a long one, so it is what it is. But if you are new to the channel, please make sure to hit that lounge. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And on this episode, we're going to cover Lucasfilm Civil War Part 2. If you didn't catch Part 1, I highly recommend after this stream, catch after watching Part 2, catch Part 1 so you can get the broader context. So let's get into this article from Hollywood Reporter written by Peter Kiefer. And I will share you my thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Let's do it. So, inside Hollywood's succession wars. A look behind the battle lines of the industry's real-life Game of Thrones, with the ever-shifting power struggles at Disney to the secret machinations at top agencies. There are many qualities that will be required to become the next CEO of Walt Disney Company: boldness, intelligence, poise, none of which has been seen at Disney in the last 20 years. But at a recent off-site corporate retreat, Disney's current leader, Bob Iger, offered another piece of advice for the top-level executive. You need to be more selfish. Yeah, we see how that's paying off for David Zaslav. Let me tell you something. Never get your advice from a man whose former job was to tell you when it would rain. Never trust a man who's paid to be wrong. What Iger meant, according to the source who relied the comment, was that execs vying to succeed him must be willing to go to extraordinary lengths to beat out their competitors. It might seem like old advice coming from a leader with a public image as smooth, strategic, whose roughest edge is that he works so hard. He showers in his office sometimes twice. Please, do not suck off the taint of Bob Iger. What success has he brought to Disney? The collapse? Yes. Please, ease off on sucking the taint. We're not doing that here. But as Iger himself has noted, when he ran ABC in the early 1990s, he employed what he called autocracy to push through ideas that he met resistance. More recently, after hand-selecting Bob Chapek as a successor back in 2020, he reportedly spent the next 2 years undermining and outmaneuvering his successor behind the scenes, setting the stage for his own triumphant comeback. Yes, and look how well that has played out for him thus far. What do we call it? Oh yeah, a clusterfuck. When it comes to the advice about taking power, the man clearly knows what he's talking about. Disney firmly denies that characterization of Iger's return, as well as executive account of the conversation. Quote, "That is not something Bob said or would ever say, and the incident described simply never happened," says Chief Communications Officer Christina Shack. Yeah, like we believe anything that they're going to be saying. For the execs battling to succeed Iger, like Entertainment co-head Dana Walden and Parks Honcho Josh D'Amaro, not to mention the whole cadre of Hollywood strivers eager for top jobs throughout town, being overly aggressive comes at the risk of looking desperate. I don't hear of anybody that seems to be all that excited about wanting to run Disney, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You must be auditioning constantly, but not overtly. As any outlet that covers Hollywood machinations knows, angry PR people working the top lieutenants call in a fury, not only when their boss slips a rung on an executive power list, but also when they are mentioned as a potential heir apparent. because no one wants to risk looking like they are gunning for the crown before the king is ready to give it up. Yeah, Bob Iger doesn't seem like he's going to be giving it up. Are you like insinuating that it's time for Bob Iger to wrap it up? Yeah, I think people have been saying that for quite a while now. Welcome to Hollywood's modern Game of Thrones, minus all the incest sex. Across the entertainment industry, there are pitched power struggles quietly being waged for the top gigs at CAA, Sony, Lucasfilm, and other power centers that will determine the leadership of Hollywood's top institutions for years to come. I don't hear anyone vying for Lucasfilm, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What are you talking about? No one is vying for Lucasfilm. These are happening at moment of precarious for the industry right large makes the stakes that much higher. But to many, it's a struggle long overdue. As THR reported in October cover story, The Big Squeeze, Why Everyone in Hollywood Feels Stuck, as top-level execs have seemed frozen in place, those in their 30s, 40s, and even 50s have been lamenting the existence of a gray ceiling that they say has cheated them out of their big moment. But in recent months, some cracks in the gray ceiling have started to appear. Big moment? You know, reading this article, you can tell how much Hollywood, like, smells their own shit. It's pretty apparent. Last year across the economy, a record of 2,021 CEOs stepped down, the highest level turnover since 2002 in Hollywood. To a generational turnover is happening, if too slowly for some, and is promoting of all sorts of questions. What will this new cadre of leaders look like? How will they emulate the leaders who came before? And what will the merits of success be in their town that's reinventing itself? I don't think there's going to be much of a Hollywood left. Man, these people really do live in a bubble. Okay, well, I'm skipping that article because that's just minutiae. All right, here we go. Meanwhile, some top jobs remain up for grabs at Disney, of course, but also the subsidiary Lucasfilm. With accomplished yet controversial CEO Kathleen Kennedy, I would not call her accomplished. Let's slow your roll there, Hollywood Reporter. Come on now. Let's be realistic here. Is expected to end her reign shortly after Iger ends his. I don't believe any of that for a second. And then there's the ongoing Trump-imperiled merger between Paramount and Skydance, which when consummated will see 71-year-old Shari Redstone pass the torch of 42-year-old David Eslin. The leadership team is set if they only had a company to run. Yeah, well, the whole situation at Paramount is because of that woman's own lack of leadership and narcissism. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, some of these failures are literally because of them. Like, how are you going to, in this article, like, call Kathleen Kennedy this accomplished person, Bob Iger this intelligent, accomplished person, when they have proven in the last 10 plus years they don't know what the fuck they're doing? It's apparent. But okay. All right, sure. Whatever. When it comes to leadership transition, success, or failure, it is often measured by the chaos that follows. Right now, with all the chaos in the industry, stability is like a drug, says Terry Press, president of strategy and communications at Amblin Partners. You want to be around it, and you want to be in business with it. There's no stability in Hollywood. What are you talking about? You can see, this is what I mean. These people are living in a bubble of delusion. There is no stability in Hollywood right now. You literally have people out here saying that if a movie that costs $140 million or $230 million breaks even, that's considered a success. No, that fucking isn't. That's considered an embarrassment. Right? How can you be $100 billion company and some of your biggest franchise films are breaking even and people are calling that a success when other people are calling it a failure, it is a fucking failure. It's crazy. Crazy what we're dealing with. I'm just passing through because some of this we don't really care. Okay, here we go. This is interesting. All right, or maybe the Hollywood culture that has changed too much to make that kind of Machiavellian behavior viable. In recent years, Hollywood has lost some of its mojo. Recent years, decades of consolidation, a pandemic, two strikes, and a pivot to streaming has resulted in much smaller industry with fewer top jobs and less money sloshing around. The culture has changed too. Algorithmic tech companies dominate, data prevails over instinct and experience. Many of the much charactered qualities that used to be hallmarks of Hollywood power are now recognized as toxic. The personalities that now run this town are much different than the swashbuckling mongrels who came before. Well, maybe those swashbuckling mongrels were needed more now than ever. It's not, Hollywood's not in a good place. And, the pandemic and the strikes are a twofold problem. That was Hollywood's own doing and the union's own doing. And putting it all on streaming. Well, the whole pandemic, in some people's eyes, was supposed to go on longer than it initially did, but that's a whole nother type of conversation. But also the fact that a lot of these companies, they just started giving out money willy-nilly to shows that had no business being created in the first place. And there's no need for taking risk anymore. It's all reboots and sequels to reboots and reboots that are a sequel to a spin-off of a remake of a reboot to a sequel of a remake. I mean, that's what it is right now. And I would say that the current climate is more toxic than the previous climate. Because at least when the previous climate, you actually got good movies with, decent actual quality in terms of filming and and um and all that fun jazz that comes with it. Nowadays, you can have a $250 million movie and the CGI isn't even done. Say what you will about the CGI in The Mummy Returns, but at least that shit was entertaining. Nowadays, that CGI is shit and boring. And I know that I'm talking about a decrease, but then you go and watch, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, and you're like, whoa, the quality, what's going on here? And that's another issue. You have people who have the qualifications but lack the quality. And I talked about that in my part one of Lucasfilm Civil War. So if you want to learn more about that, make sure you check out part one. All right, let's keep on going through here. This is, this article, this a little bit of a self-indulgent, a little bit of a taint sucker. All right, here we go. Here we go. Maybe that unpredictability offers some small executives excuse as to how Disney botched things so badly on Iger's first exit. No, that shit was botched because it was long overdue. It's been long overdue. But anyways, let's continue. Needless to say, the do-over is now the most watched Succession game in town. And let's be honest, Bieber sabotaged his first Succession. He's been not wanting to have a Succession because he's been drinking his own Kool-Aid. He's been getting high off his own supply. And it's some of the worst shit ever. Why do you think it's the company and the parks and the films are in the state that they are? I know Nerd Erotics likes to blame black people for the failures at Disney, but he needs to remind himself that Disney is run by a white man. Lucasfilm is run by a white man. The parks are run by white men. It is the failures of white men for the failures of Disney, Lucasfilm, and Marvel. So Nerd Erotics and your little woke right pop culture crew, quit blaming the blacks and the Latinos and the Asians for the failures of your own people. But I digress. Let us continue. Wanting to avoid another debacle, in January, the Disney board added James Gorman, chairman emeritus, to Morgan Stanley to oversee the search, which remains to the opaque even to high-level Disney insiders. Still, sources say that Damaro, the Parks and Experience chief, is now in pole position. The 54-year-old already was overseeing a $60 billion expansion of the park's business before Abu Dhabi. Disney's first new park since 2016 was announced in May. He is also overseeing Disney's expansion into video games via a $1 billion deal with Epic, which Iger views as a legacy project. Yeah, and look, how well was that doing? Oh, during the Star Wars Fortnite collab, Fortnite saw the lowest player count. Seems like it's doing really good. How are they doing in their game department after they closed down Lucasfilm Arts? How's Battlefront 2 doing? Are we even gonna get another Jedi Survivor Part 3? How did that Star Wars Starfighter game do? Yeah, that's my point. Shit. Oh my lord. And let's not talk about the parks. Let's be real here. When Epic Universe opens, when it officially opens, that's a wrap for Disney. A wrap. One hurdle for Damaro is the continuing fallout with Chapek's disastrous run, which was all sabotaged by Bob Iger. I know Peter forgot to put that in there, but I just wanted to remind y'all that. Before his ascension, he also was a parks guy, and that showed his inability to communicate with top Hollywood talent and their gatekeepers. Damaro has publicly tried to highlight the personal relationship he has with creatives to try to preempt that criticism. By contrast, Walden, the longtime television executive who has been rumored as a potential frontrunner since Iger returned, is a popular, well-known figure within Hollywood's talent community. As Disney's first female CEO, her appointment also would carry major symbolic weight. That's all it is. She's just a white DEI hire. Congratulations. You played yourself. One impediment for Walden, however, is her close friendship with Kamala Harris. We don't need to say anything more about that. Given the vindictives of the Trump administration, it's hard to see that relationship as a potential liability, unfair as that may be. Unfair? Really? Unfair, Peter? Peter, do we need to talk about Sam Bankman-Fried and the crypto scam and Disney's involvement in that? Do we need to talk about that, Peter? The writer of this article? Do we need to discuss how Disney was funding Kamala Harris's campaign? Allegedly. Do we need to get into that, Peter? Maybe you're not caught up on all the ins and outs of Hollywood and its political affirmations. Let's continue. Rounding out the shortlist top internal candidates are Alan Bergman, co-chairman of Disney's Entertainment, and ESPN honcho Jimmy Pitaro. The 58-year-old Bergman is a company man, having joined back in 1996, and is regarded as a sharp and skilled at overseeing a portfolio that includes Marvel, Pixar, Walt Disney Animation, and Lucasfilm. And look how well they're all doing. Look how well Marvel's doing. Look how well Pixar's doing. What Walt Disney Animation? And look how well Lucasfilm is doing. But replacing Iger, an unmatched brand ambassador who looks like talent. Jesus Christ. Oh my gosh. You might as well deep throat him while you're at it. Really? An unmatched brand ambassador who looks like talent? These people are crazy. Probably requires a magnetism that Bergman can't match. A liability he's said to be aware of. Oh my Lord. Yeah, why don't you deep throat them and garble them up too while you're at it? What is wrong with these people? Like, this is crazy. The way this article is written, man, there's a reason why I don't like reading this shit. Like, oh God. This is the problem at Disney. How can you expect someone from theme parks to understand the process of making television and film? The people who make television and film at Disney right now don't even understand that process. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? We might as well give it to the dude who builds parks. Shit. Give it to the custodians at this point. And how can you expect someone from television and film to understand how to work with the Chinese government? Really? You're just spilling all of Disney's business. Just spilling all of Disney's business. Listen, Peter, author of this article, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, okay, bro? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Okay? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Disney's films are dog shit in the Chinese film market. I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Peter, okay? The Chinese government, they don't like America. Okay? I'm going to let you in on a little secret. And by just admitting that Disney works with the Chinese government, which we know from Mulan, where they filmed the entire movie next to concentration camps. So, you know, we can tell that the legacy of Walt Disney and his beliefs still live on through Disney. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. So, yeah, I don't think that's a good look, bud. I don't think that's a good look. And I don't know if you're familiar with the South Park episodes with China. Yeah, listen, man. For example, when Captain America Brave New World came out, when they did the marketing in China, they made sure that every image of Captain America was blacked out. Not even blacked out, they redded it out. Because they don't even like the color black either. Okay? They redded him out. All right. How are you gonna promote a movie in a country that doesn't even like the color black, let alone black people? Yep. Oh my God, these people are just suck on stupid. All right. How do you understand the word with the Chinese government? Says Stephen Galloway, Dean Chapman, University's dog, and yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, yada. As much as Hollywood likes to celebrate its Buccaneer spirit, random events have played just as big a role in determining who gets to rule. The 1994 helicopter crash that killed former Disney's president Frank Wells would shape the industry for decades to come. Well, that's a conspiracy. I'm sure there's a conspiracy in that one. I'm sure there is. Let's see. What else do we got in here? All right. Some sources contend that the creation of internal boards within CAA spawned inflated titles for a handful of top agents, implying that a new batch of leaders was on the verge of taking the reins. That hasn't happened. Others accuse Lord and Hove of playing one of the generation of top agents against the next. They have done that for 31 years and it's absolutely worked, says former top agents. So you have agents who run these company CEOs are just sabotaging the whole thing. Right. Remember what did Bob Iger say? You got to be selfish. Ain't that what they doing? Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, not long ago, the shortlist of potential successors included mostly agents on the talent side. Okay. But with scripted content contracting and their sports business on the extent, one source speculates the co-head of sports, Howie Mitchell and Lowie are in the mix. Yes. Yes. Let's, at this point, like I said, you might as well have the sports dudes run Disney at this point. It's not like it can fall any farther than it already has. Oh my gosh. When discussing the difficulty of selecting new leadership in an embedded industry, one name comes up often, Jason Kilar. Kilar was appointed Warner Media CEO in May 2020, in the middle of AT&T's brief 3-year ownership of the studio. Sir, he had worked with Hulu, which gave him streaming experience, but he did not come up within the traditional confines of film and television industry. Oh, so he wasn't buck broken. Got it. These days, 2-year tenure running Warner Media is mostly remembered for Project Popcorn, the pandemic-era decision to release Warner Media's entire 2021 slate of films simultaneously in theaters and streaming. The move was intended to boost subscriptions to the then fledgling HBO Max. Yeah, how well is HBO Max doing right now? What did the shareholders do? They voted no to David Zaslav's $52 million increase salary. Yo, that motherfucker is over there just canceling everything left and right at HBO, cutting the funding, and just raising his salary. I mean, and hey, Nerderotic, just so you know, remember the casting of a black man as Snape in the Harry Potter TV show was probably made by a white man. So you don't have to blame the black man for this. I would specifically blame Bob Zaslar or David Zaslar, since he's the one that greenlit the TV show. So if the TV show fails, it's not because of a black man, it's because of a white man who continues to cut the funding of HBO to increase his salary. Yeah. So all in all, well, hold on, here we go. We got more. Just when I thought this shit was over. Okay, here we go. Here's some interesting stuff. Hollywood has always been much more tradition bound than people think. It has its own rhythms. Yeah, and look how good those have been. Lucasfilm seems likely to follow the path in replacing Kennedy. Despite speculation about the outside candidates, including former 20th Century head Emma Watts, insiders say the company seems likely to promote from within. Yeah, because, I mean, they can't let anyone... All right, let's just continue before I go off on that. The current thinking is a scenario where Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni and production head Carrie Beck, both Lucasfilm vets take co-head roles. Even as arm of Disney, Lucasfilm remains in many ways a family business. And as George Lucas' protege, he's not George Lucas's protege. Dave Filoni is not his protege. Dave Filoni is just a guy who got lucky. That's about it. He ain't no protege of George Lucas. Filoni has long been considered a golden boy. But the knock against him is that he might be too steeped in Star Wars lore. Translation: he's too much of a fucking nerd. And risks steering a show into dense mythology that loses a broader audience. He's not the Andor guy. He's the Ahsoka guy, says one Disney insider. Beck, who joined the company in 2012, knows the ins and outs, but neither she nor Filoni has much film experience. Well, depending on how The Mandalorian and Grogu goes, will depend on the future of Filoni, which could be mitigated by Kennedy's continued presence as a producer ensuring Star Wars projects, ensuring quality control in short term. Ensuring quality control? You gotta be kidding my dick. I know you did not just say she's ensuring quality control. Did you not see what happened with the Acolyte? I apologize. I'm eating a Clementine right now. It's really good. Did you not see what happened with the Acolyte? Are we serious right now? Holy shit. That's crazy. What quality? And I said this. What did I say? I said in part one, you have people who have the qualifications but lack the quality. Kathleen Kennedy does not have the qualifications nor the quality. And she has proven that time and time again with every failure. Star Wars video games, failed. Star Wars theme park, failed. Star Wars movies, failed. Star Wars TV show. We're doing good until they ousted Gina Carano and Jon Favreau, and then they failed. The only reason, and look, it says it here, the quote, he's not the Andor guy. He's the Ahsoka guy. And I want you to think about that. When this is done, watch part one so you can understand the context. They're saying right there, because Andor has been a hit. It's been a universal hit for everyone who's watched it, and for people who gave up on Star Wars, took a chance, watched it, and enjoyed it. You don't hear anyone praising Ahsoka. Even when it came out, people were making more fun of Ahsoka than they were praising it. You literally have Star Wars Theory, who doesn't know Star Wars, doesn't understand it, complaining about a fascist regime where men in power try to sexually assault people. And he said that doesn't belong in Star Wars. This is the state of Star Wars. He'll complain about the quality of Andor, even though it's some of the best writing, some of the best production, and stays true to the universe and to the historical implications that inspired Star Wars. Andor doesn't. And, you can say, yeah, Tony Gilroy didn't really care for Star Wars, all that fun jazz, but he has quality, and he has the qualifications. Dave Filoni doesn't have the quality or the qualifications. He doesn't even understand lore. Literally. He contradicts his own lore in his own shows. No quality in that man. No qualifications either. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. And look at the quality of Mandalorian season 3. Look at the quality of Obi-Wan. Look at the quality of the Acolyte, Skeleton Crew. Not good shows. Book of Boba Fett, not good. You had things were going well when Jon Favreau was in control. He understood Star Wars. He understood quality, and he had the qualifications. And I'm telling you right now, when the Mandalorian and Grogu underperforms, which it will, it ain't going to be Dave Filoni. You see, the people inside Lucasfilm, they hate Tony Gilroy. You want to know why they hate Tony Gilroy? Because he made Andor. And he made it fucking good. So good that I have predicted that from here on out, anything that Dave Filoni puts out, anything, any shows or anything, any live action Star Wars, will be compared to Andor in the quality and the writing. And if it doesn't match or exceed the qualities in Andor, people are going to complain about it. That's why Dave Filoni and his crew are pissed, because Tony Gilroy is a friend of Kathleen Kennedy, and go watch part 1, and so he was able to do things without having much need or much involvement with Filoni. That's why it has such good quality. And I'm telling you right now, if they go with Dave Filoni, they're going to kick him out. He's going to get ousted. I would say you go with Tony Gilroy, but that's using logic and reason, and Disney has long forfeited that a long time ago. All right, we don't really care about Sony all that much. All right, the bigger question inside the studio is what Aju thinks of Roman's top 2 lieutenants, Motion Picture Group co-president Josh Greenstein, who focuses on marketing and distribution, and Sanford Pank, who focuses on production. In the past years, Greenstein has told people that he'd likely leave Sony if Rothman were re-upped. One scenario that's been floated is Greenstein reuniting with his friend and Skydance owner Dave Edison. Oh, this is not what I wanted. Okay, I don't care about any of that. Okay, so essentially, Hollywood's fucked. That's how I'm understanding this article. They were trying really hard to make, it's like that meme with the dog and the burning house. Everything's fine. When in reality, it really isn't. So all I have to say really is that Dave Filoni isn't that guy. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. It's not going to go well for them if they go with the Filoni route and this other woman. But the reality is that Disney is screwed either way. In totality, Hollywood is screwed either way. And I think this was a article saying a lot of nothing, but implying a whole lot of something. And by the end of Trump's presidency, Hollywood will either be rubble and embers, or it will be fractioned off into various parts of the United States. Those are the only 2 options. Newsom has completely destroyed Hollywood. The recent fires have completely destroyed Hollywood. AI is on the verge of completely destroying Hollywood. The strikes have completely destroyed Hollywood. And Kathleen Kennedy destroyed one of the greatest franchises in the world by turning it into a girl brand. And Marvel is on the cusp of becoming irrelevant thanks to Kevin Feige and his delusions. So I would say Hollywood right now it's in its final days. I don't know what will rise from the ashes. Like I said, it may stay in rumble and embers and ruins for a number of years before it is rebuilt, or you will see studios throughout the country being built, being funded outside of the Hollywood machinations. Those are the only two options they have at this point. Lucasfilm does not have any options. It's a dead brand. It doesn't matter who they replace Kathleen Kennedy with. It is a dead brand. The toys don't sell. You've destroyed Hasbro. The comics don't sell. You've destroyed the comics. I mean, it is what it is. You know, you can hate on George Lucas when he was owning it, but we got the Rogue Squadron series. You know, we got Battlefront 1 and 2. You know, we got some great quality games from Lucasfilm Arts. So, and even from Dark Horse Comics, some great comics, the Legends material. There's some wonderful stuff. So wonderful that Lucasfilm had to start copying what's in the Legends material because their own ideas couldn't even hold up to pen and paper. Like I said, in all of Hollywood now, you have people who have the qualifications but lack the quality to make those qualifications bear fruit. If you've made it this far, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And let me know your comments down below. How are you feeling about the future of Hollywood? Lucasfilm, Marvel, Disney? Let me know. And until next time, stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much, much love.